Alright, so we're going to talk about Mohawk Park and Mohawk Beach. Let's start off with, what does Mohawk Park already do well? Mohawk Park is right next to Gretzky Parkway, which means it is very much accessible for a great deal of the city, and if we really hit it right and maybe 10 years down the road, it can be an attraction that people are willing to drive down the 403 to see. But we've got to start small and find out what we do well and build on our customer base after that. So we don't bet the farm on things, we do things at baby steps. So first of all, Mohawk Park has a large parking lot at the top which has capacity for a great deal amount of vehicles. There are two other parking lots throughout the facility that access certain points and are really great for young families to be able to have priority parking, and that's how I would really like to see that work, is that people with children or people with disabilities are given priority parking at the lower spots so they're closer to the various amenities, with the upper lot being reserved for people that do not have, that can access the parking, can walk a fair bit, because it's a bit of a walk. But anyway, so that takes care of cars. You can drive to Mohawk Park, park there, and have access to the whole thing. Second, Mohawk Park is on a bus route, so all of our children throughout our city can easily access Mohawk Park inexpensively by bus, and it is also on a bicycle route. I've spent a great deal of my time in my youth riding my bike through Mohawk Park, down along the Greenwich Street, or the Mohawk Canal, where Shallow Creek Park is, and along where Alfred Street and Greenwich Street are. There's that trail there that goes in behind where the old Canadian Tire was, and, well, you know, if you've done it, you've done it. If you haven't, try it. It's a nice bike ride. So anyway, it's accessible by everybody in this city, easily. And so, really great. And if we go to Mohawk Park, we're going to see, like I saw earlier today, a great deal of people there, I would say, and the Parks Department would say that that's one of our consistently busiest parks. Exclusive of soccer parks and baseball parks, because that's, you know, they're doing a special activity there. When you show up to Mohawk Park, you're not necessarily belonging to an organized group, we'll say. We're not part of an organized meeting. People just go. So Mohawk Park, and a lot of people drive there, so we know that people are willing to drive to Mohawk Park. It's an attraction. It's something we do well. Let's improve it. We've already got an excellent model. I want to put, and I have a proposal that I've spent a lot of time thinking about, and historically speaking is something we've already done at Mohawk Park, and that is a beach at the bottom. Right? We've got something for everybody at Mohawk Park already. We've got the soccer field right at the top. Lots of soccer games are played there often in the afternoon and evening in the summertime. We've got the disc golf or frisbee golf, that people play there often. We've got the volleyball court there. There are people that do ant guard or LARPing, which, if anybody's seen the movie Role Models with Paul Rudd and Stifler from American Pie, you know, that's a cool thing. They hang out there and do that. There are two play places, lots of swings, and the splash pad, and a restaurant that's just opened, as well as the train ride there too. So there's a lot of attractions at Mohawk Park. There's a lot of people already going there. And how do we deliver more for our taxpayer dollars? And how do we improve? And this is something that I'm going to bring to the table to council, is look at what we are doing as a city that's already doing well. What's performing well on our responsibility list, and how do we make that even better? That's something that I bring to the table. I believe that Mohawk Park should operate as a freemium park in that admission is free, or at least if there's a lot of capital requirement to upgrade to a beach, I wouldn't mind seeing, and I don't think a lot of other people would disagree with me on this, in seeing some kind of nominal fee, like I'm talking 25 cents or 50 cents or something like that, to gain admission to the park for a period of time until those capital expenses are paid for. And then you can access the park for free, because that's what works in Port Dover, that's what works in Turkey Point, and there is absolutely no benefit in wasting your time reinventing the wheel. Major pitfall for businesses. If anybody watches Dragon's Den or Debt to Us Part, you see people wasting their time and wasting their money all the time. I don't do that. I don't like wasting money. I like getting a good deal of value for my money, and I like keeping my customers happy. So if you want to know what kind of person I am through these videos, you're going to find out that I am somebody that demands a high level of value and a high level of quality at the least possible price that I can pay, and the least possible price you will pay. So anyway, why Mohawk Beach? Because we have a lot of people already willing to drive and spend all of the money on gas and the 2 hours to drive to Dover and 2 hours to drive to Turkey Point, there and back, around 2 hours, to just go and lay on a beach in the sun, And it's kind of dirty. I'm not going to say that Dover's dirty, don't go there, or Turkey Point's dirty, don't go there. I'm not going to say that at all. Because they're great places. They've provided us an excellent example on the possibilities of how much money people are willing to pay to visit a place like that. All those shops at Dover are not there and not making any money. They've been there for years. Arbor dogs are renowned and a popular thing. Popular brand. And so how did they get that? Did they get that by having lousy service and lousy customers? No. They did that by having a high level of service and happy customers. And that's the kind of thing that I think is very possible at Mohawk Beach, and something that can be done inexpensively. I know that taking the water out and cleaning up the dirt in there is going to be an expense. But we're already doing that. We're already on that road to recovery. There's already, and secondarily, there's going to be an expense. But I want to look at that expense and say, okay, how do we get a lot of value for our effort here? And every high school student has to put in 40 hours of labor, right? Between Assumption, between Tollgate, between BCI, between North Park, between St. John's and PJ, there are thousands of children that graduate high school in this city. My idea and my proposal and my benchmark, and something that I will work very diligently to attract, is to get at least 200 students to perform labor for us, to perform volunteer hours. This kind of thing, if we get 200 students at the minimum wage of $10.30 an hour, which last I checked was the minimum wage for a student, is $824,000. So here's again why I will make an excellent counselor, is because I look at that $824,000 as new labor I just found for us, new value I just found for us that we're not going to have to pay for. You let me get this project started and I get 200 students, that's almost $1 million in free labor we've gotten in year one. So if we have a $2 million project, we can spend $2 million on Obviously, we're going to have to spend some on management and supervisors and experts to make sure, you know, what our laborers and our volunteers are going to be doing effectively. Like, there's no way around that. So anybody that's worried about me taking away union positions, don't worry about that. I'm not going to do that. We're going to improve things, not cut things. Now, so we've just found $824,000 of new labor. So how do we put that to work? Or sorry, what does that do for our project? It means we can spend more on capital and less on labor, because when we spend money on labor, you know, we spend less on, you know, the good stuff, the stuff that we want, right? So my proposal is that when we get the numbers back, we find out a way to do it inexpensively, and I believe that if we go the route of volunteers, that we can get a great deal of you know, value for that, and give those students some value too. The whole point of that program was, of course, to get children involved in the working world, and for us, people that have had those volunteers before, like I have, to train them and to get them, you know, do it for free, because, you know, if I have to pay to, if any employer has to pay to train an employee, that means, you know, either they're not doing their job or somebody else isn't doing their job. So, you know, you tend to lose money when you are training employees. That's just how it goes. So having these laborers come in and perform and create something for themselves, I mean, it's going to be high school students that are mostly attracted to the beach anyway, that they're going to build something for themselves. And when you build something for yourself, when somebody comes along and vandalizes it, you're not happy about it. And instilling that morality and those values in our youth is going to be far more effective than the police are, or regulators are, or bylaw enforcers are, because people simply won't do it. You won't have to have some, you know, night watchman out there, because people won't do it because it's their place. They see somebody litter on it, they see somebody leave their dog poo on it, they're going to be PO'd because you're pooping on my property and leaving it there. That's disgusting. How could you do that? That's very disrespectful. You know, you bring our youth into this and you get them connected and you make them feel like it's their property, we will have much reduced litter and much reduced vandalism if we make these kids a place that they feel is theirs. And that's a very powerful concept, and any high school and any teacher, myself included, I taught Taekwondo now for 15 years, so that's a huge experience I've gotten. I know that the students that cared the most and enjoyed the school the most did a far better job of keeping their peers in line when I wasn't looking than me threatening them with some fine or, you know, something along those lines. If you teach people that it's theirs and it's their property, they're going to treat it with respect. So that's it. That's Mohawk Beach. That's why I think it'll work. Those are some of my philosophies and my concepts as to why it'll work. And I don't think that anybody else on council or who is running for council has that kind of customer and consumer focused experience and viewpoint toward them, because I have owned two businesses. I currently only own one, but it's all about taxpayers. It's all about our customers. And if we start off small and we build, we clean out our lake, you know, there's always the idea of having, you know, a spawning, like a fishing spawning, and maybe reinstituting our dam. I'd like to do that. Don't get me wrong, I would like to do that, but we gotta start off small. And it would be really cool if we could have our sanitation water, instead of going back into the Grand River, if it goes into Mohawk Lake. So we've always got some nice clean water going in there. We've got our fishing there. People are paying for our fish, or able to go fish there, and they can eat them. And then we've got our people swimming there and buying and selling hot dogs and t-shirts, just like they do in the successful businesses that we're going to copy. We're not going to reinvent the wheel. We're going to copy, we're going to implement, and we're going to be successful. But and then, so to go back on that, to go back with the water coming in there that's clean. So we've got our fish, we've got people swimming, and then, you know, we're making money by the hydroelectricity on the other end, by Locks Road, which is, you know, if we were to go back 75, 80 years, we used to have those things 75 or 80 years ago. We used to have a, well, maybe not the power plant. The power plant was killed. Now we have way higher rates for electricity than we should. We could generate some locally. And again, that if we had a hydroelectric dam there, that would help pay for the capital costs to do the work, right? So not only do we get, you know, our high school and our youth connected to our city and reducing vandalism, reducing litter, reducing maintenance costs because they want to be there, but we've got a city, a municipal project actually making money. Not a loser. Not a loser. Our city gets backed into a corner a lot of times and goes down the route of creating businesses, or, you know, not businesses because it's, you know, it's not called that, but that's really what they are, like the Gretzky Sports Center, and that, you know, could be a lot more profitable, or they didn't need to be as extravagant as they were because there really wasn't the business case to do it. And that's why taxpayers are pissed off, because people have been wasting money. People have been wasting money. And that is not something I will do. And I think that Mohawk Beach, though I'm not going to deny that it's going to be a capital expense, I think that the benefits from it, even though, and I would be happy, as I said earlier, to have some toll or fee and eventually get away from that so that we have a freemium park for people to get to for free. But again, you know, we've got to start somewhere. I think Mohawk Beach is an excellent opportunity to keep our youth, to bring our community together, to bring our community together and start a very powerful youth group that's connected, just like the Boy Scouts, just like the militia, just like the reserves. Only we do local projects and create local value for local people and reduce our taxes, because, you know, I want to make life less taxing and I want to give you a good deal for it. So thanks, please like and share. Dave Swanson, Ward 5.